Okay. In other words, so we can tie it into the
Oh,
previous
yeah,
tape.
well,
In other words, their mother, Ed, Jim and Ed's mother was supposed to be dying,
yeah.
and she wanted to see the two babies
She liked to see the children.
before she died.
Yeah.
So you were living on South Street, or in the Livernois, I guess.
Livernois,
Yeah. And they took the two children and the two of them, or what?
They have to pay their passage on a ship to go.
Yeah.
You know, those days you wish you could do, the planes, you know, it's different, but there was nothing. So I had some money saved, I told you in the bank. Well, there all the money goes for the passage. I had just bought from the People's Outfitting, you know,
Furniture store.
about 6 months before that, the piano, because they like to play the piano. I'd had maybe a year before that, a piano and living room furniture. I still own and chairs and I still owe them about $550 on that.
Gee,
See?
that was a lot of
They
money.
didn't give a damn. See, you come from with I told you, $1.79 exactly. A dollar bill, couple quarters and some pennies and dimes.
All the way from Medicine Hat.
Yeah, but
And now you finally get on your feet again.
yeah, I did. They had it all planned.
Hmm.
And Ed left, of course, Ed and Margaret, they were living in a place by themselves, you know,
Yeah.
flat. Well, they go there, they take all the money and they go. And then they took their band, all the band stuff, you know, well, he didn't have too much. He had a accordion and something else. Well, Jim had the big xylophone set. It was a good set.
Big set.
Yeah, beautiful set. And takes that part. Then I get a letter from Quebec or someplace. The xylophone's still sitting on the dock, and its address. But if it didn't go with anybody, you got to pay. So I just sent him a check for. I got money order. I didn't have any checking account. For $12 it cost to send it over there to them.
In other words, they took it and
they
just
take
left
when
it.
They forgot.
Oh,
It got left, somewhere it got left, nobody watched it. That was the trouble. Of course, somebody with two little kids, but Eddie could have, some of them could have watched it. Well, anyway, I sent the money. It was honest, I could have kept
sure.
it, you know. I sent the $12, so they got it. But just the same, I had to go and get a job. I got a job in Turnstead's, because it was close. And what the heck, you know, they had that little door, you know, the little, what do you
Glove compartment.
The glove department, they call it something else now. Well, the front was like wood, it was wood on metal. Well, that's what I was doing.
Like graining.
No, they called it, no, it wasn't, they come as a,
Transfer.
they come in a transfer, that's what I was doing. You wipe the steel, just a little piece of the steel, it was all shaped like that door, you know. And then you dip this thing in, you dip this thing and you put on, try to get as even as you can. And then you had a squeegee, a hard rubber thing, and to get all the wrinkles out of it, you know. And if there were anything you could not, you had a razor blade to cut it so you could overlap and not make it.
Yeah.
And then it'll go in the oven. Well, that's what I was doing. And that was a good paying job. Well, I done that.
But now when Jim and Ed left, they didn't come back, so didn't you?
No,
did
but
they
then-
write and say they weren't coming back? Or?
I went down to the People's and I asked them to take back, could they take back the piano, because I was all, he says, just keep it. He said, if you pay $5 a week or $5 a month, you keep paying a little bit on it, we won't say anything.
Oh.
You're supposed to pay so much. But he says, you are honest to come down and tell me. Some people move it and move away. And you just pay what you can on it. He said, we won't even question what you pay. Just a few dollars or
That was
$10,
nice.
you know, anything you want. So I thought that was nice of him. So, but, and debt, you know.
But,
Well,
but all the time you thought Jim and Ed were coming back.
well, sure. I figured, well, I didn't think it was on October, so I figured, well, at least
Like Christmas or
at
something.
Christmas it would be too bad, the weather, maybe
Oh,
February. I didn't know when it would come back, tell you the truth. But I didn't figure the mother would die as soon as they landed, you know. But then the good weather come, no, I would ask them when they're coming back, and I sent them clothes and stuff at Christmas
for
time.
the baby.
I sent them $5. I had a pretty good job, you know. I was making a lot more than some of the other people making. And I sent them $5, money order from the post office. Thinking their kids, you know, they would have something.
Sure.
And I talk about when they come back. No, never even answered it. I got fed up.
They never answered any of your
Oh, they
letters.
would answer the letter, but they would never mention about coming after me asking them, you know? Ask them
Well, what were they doing? What'd they say they were doing?
Well, Margaret was such a big liar. You know, she says, oh, they're playing bands all over the place, she says. Him and Eddie and two other men were playing dances and things. You know, she just talking
But Jim never wrote you that.
No,
What did he say he was doing?
never said that. Well, he worked in the factory before. He could have got a job in the factory.
Well, you didn't know what he
No,
was
he
doing.
never said
No.
so. But she always said something to say.
Oh, well.
But I don't think Ed told her that at all. She was always making up stories.
Yeah, well, we don't really care about that. So anyway, after about 6 months,
No, yeah, well, it was getting on April, you know, spring and stuff. So I know I was reading the paper something about a similar thing. So I went to an attorney in the National Building, you know, where downtown, and I told him what it was. He says, well, I'll write to him first and see what he's going to
what was
do.
going to do, yeah.
There was no answer. So I didn't get any answer. I never got a letter then from then on. So then I went back again to see what he says. I'm going to write a letter and tell him if you don't come back, you're going to divorce him, just to scare him. Well, he wrote that and he said he wanted an answer back to him. Well, he waited and waited. Never even answered the letter.
Hmm.
Then he says, well, why don't you just divorce them, see? I said, well, they're not coming back. But I said, what about I would worry about the kids.
Right.
You know, I think somebody abusing them or something. And I said, if I had the money, I said, I would go there and bring them back. I said, I am left with debt. I'm still paying for it. You know,
Sure.
you're not making a lot of money, you can't pay $600, practically $600. And he said, well, just divorce them, and I'll put on there if they ever come back, there'll be another thing about the children. So, which I did. Well, Bill was working. I got a different job, a better paying job. I was, a machine, I was one of the new kind of machines. And they asked me if I'd go on. I said, okay, none like it. You just put the hinges in, it was about the same department where Pop lived. You just put the hinges and they were all shaped. Because sometimes you get one, the end wasn't cut off, especially the male and female. See?
Oh, yeah.
That's what they call them. And you had to watch it, but you get so used to feeling them, you wouldn't have to watch for anything, you know. And then you just feed it. And this thing around the middle went down. As soon as you put in the clamped it in. And I got extra money for that, see? I was
Sure.
waiting to get something to pay that damn debt off. And you had to work 10 hours a day, half a day Saturday. I think I was getting $30, $33 a week.
Yeah.
30, and when I got them, it was 33.
Yeah.
And so before that, when they left, Margaret and I rented a room with one of the tool makers that used to work in Turnsteads. They had two little boys and we rented the room, both of us. And we were living on, what was it? It was Illinois and what was next wasn't cavalry, it was, it was
Rodemaker?
infant. Eh?
No,
No, that's other than infantry or some of these things. No, dragoon.
Dragoon, right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, she lived there. And so it wasn't far from work, see? So then I saved a little money there. And so then he never answered his letter about the
But the
divorce.
lawyer, they didn't even answer the
No,
lawyer's
they
letter.
didn't. The first letter they didn't. He said, well, why don't you put in proceedings for divorce? And I'll write and tell him if he wants to do something, he has to do something. They never answered. And then I just got the divorce here. The people, you know, what do you call it?
Immigration.
Immigration sent me a letter, says that we're in the, you mentioned Margaret's name too. We're in the country illegal, you have to go down to the office. Well, Margaret was living on Verna then, you know, with Tom. I don't know if they were married or not, I doubt it. But anyway, I went down and I was told Bill about, because we used to go to dances, a bunch of us, you know,
Sure.
all the time. And he liked me. And I went to the thing, the immigration, and they asked Margaret, I says, I don't know where I think she went to Toronto or something. I could have screamed like that, it's not going to do me any good.
No, find her.
If it been her, she wouldn't have done that. But just the same, I said, I think she's gone to Toronto, I haven't seen her for a while. And I don't live with her anymore, I was living with the Odoms then, you know, in Lincoln Square Apartments, you know, the Union then.
I remember the older
Yeah,
name,
yeah, sure. And he said, well, you were going to deport me. I said, well, I'm working. I told him I was working. They were hard-hearted buggers, you know. And I come out there, I was saying, geez, what am I going to do? So I told Bill, he said, they're not going to deport me. He said, we're going to get married. And there was nothing in the divorce saying you had to wait 6 months or anything, because they were out of the country.
You're divorced,
See,
yeah, they abandoned you.
Yeah. So he used to go to some church on Jefferson Avenue, a great big church. So we just went there, I guess he called up the minister. And not at a special time, you know, in his office. And him and his wife and a wife's sister, boy, they screwed up that marriage license, I'm telling you. The more mistakes they made in it, I don't think they even signed the name properly. They had the date wrong, they had the name wrong, I don't know. But anyway, we got married. But, and that's terrible. And I don't know who they should, if I'd been wiser, I'd have demanded to see the letter, whoever wrote it. I always thought it was his sister. He had a real Nell of his sister, that she was a real mean, one of these mean talking women, you know.
Jim's sister.
Yeah, Jim and Ed. I don't know who was it. But, so I saved Margaret's life. And I think Margaret was pregnant then. And she went to the Delray Hospital and the baby died. And it had the cord around his throat. But when she, you know, she never took a bath. When she went in there, she says, they put her right in the bathtub and give her a bath. We're not, no, they never do that, you woman. Woman's always clean. So she really must have, Pop didn't like her, she said, she always smelled dirty, you know. Can you imagine they put her in the bathtub before the baby was born?
Yeah. Now, you and Dad, now where was Dad living then?
He was living with his brother, they lived, I think of a...
With Alex?
Alec,
Alexander?
yeah, Alec, and a man owned the house. A great big house on, there was Cavalry Avenue and the next Well, the doctor used to have the office. Our doctor, before he moved
Oh,
his
yeah,
office to the Lafayette.
I forget. Yeah,
I just forget the name of the street now. It's not funny, you know, you're there. But there was a great big house at corner of Lafayette in that street. Maybe it was, no, it wasn't Dragoon. No.
no, and Dragoon, oh, I don't know. I forget the names. You'd have to look.
Yeah, I forget my stuff. But anyway, this man owned a big house. A rich old, oh, it was a big one, old-fashioned, but the great big rooms. I was never in the place, you know. But they shared a room, yeah.
And what, Dad was working at Turnstead's too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Was Alex
Alex was working there.
Turnstead's too?
Yeah. I don't know what, I don't think they were working in the same department. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. But,
Well, now, was Dad a citizen then? Or was he Canadian, still Canadian? Or when did you get your citizenship?
oh no, he got his citizenship already.
Before that?
Oh, yeah, he was a citizen.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, then as soon as I had to take out the first papers first, after he was a year.
Yeah.
I'd been longer than a year there, but I still had to take them
Sure.
out. And then I got my citizen papers right away. Oh no, he was a citizen. But the dumb guy could have been a citizen. He was working,
Sure.
and it was easy, just come and say you want to, you can apply to anybody, pay your $8
Head tax.
tax. I didn't know anything about that. I figured it was something he would have taken care of it.
Well, then you,
He never
Dad-
wrote anymore.
you never wrote anymore. Now, you and Dad were married, you were living at this house with Sandy Alexander. Did you live with them?
No,
and then-
I never was in that house.
Oh,
with
well,
him. No, no.
when you got married, then Pop moved out, you moved.
Oh, no, we rented a apartment over that grocery store where there's Armenian people used to come and visit us. Oh, what the heck is it, a big long name. He had a tailor shop, and then entrance was go upstairs to the apartment, and they had a grocery store. She attended the grocery store, and they had one daughter. What was her name? A real Armenian name. And then their house was I think it was a brick apartment and 2 stores built in the front of a house. There was a big house in the back, yeah. And that's where I was living when you were born. And then I would come down, she was cook lamb a lot. I'd come down and I said, gee, this something smells good, for the stairs had a little lobby like before you went upstairs, and you could walk right into her kitchen. Great big kitchen, big as, probably, I never saw the rest of her place. And I said, oh, that smells good, you know, lamb smells good. Oh, she said, you sit down, she says, you're pregnant, she says, you have to eat a piece of that, he says, because that's,
Yeah, lamb
you're
is good.
craving, I wasn't craving for it.
Right.
But well, that was her idea, that was so
Yeah.
funny, yeah.
Be good
But
lamb.
I had a heart, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Then we get married, and then you were born, and then Doug. And things were going pretty good.
Now, you must have moved back to South Street, though.
Oh, yeah, winter. Oh, yeah,
Doug was born, you said before, in South Street.
yeah,
And I was born in Junction or somewhere else, you said.
yeah, well, it wasn't near Junction, it
Yeah.
wasn't on Junction.
Clark Street or something.
Some of these
Yeah.
streets, yeah. But, yeah, because we would drive around, you know, we always had a car. And going upstairs and a little baby, you know, and I thought, well, I lived there one time, there were nice apartments, so there were one for rent. I don't know if you knew somebody that lived there too, no, but or nobody I knew who lived there. But anyway, we rented. I was downstairs or upstairs, I forget where we were first.
I don't
We
remember.
were upstairs when you were born.
When Doug
No,
was born.
Doug was born. No, we were upstairs when you were a little boy,
Yeah.
you know, a little kid. And it seemed like, no, I guess we lived upstairs. Because there's other people that lived down, so he worked for the post office. The kids that had always had the measles, the chicken, and that's how you guys took the chicken pox. All Doc had was a few on his foot, the bottom of his foot. You didn't have them too bad either. No. You both had them at the same time, but didn't. But her kids, they had the chicken pox, they had the measles about 3 or 4 times. There's some measles are light, but you get some measles that are, they say like German measles, real bad. But here, they had them all, they were as sickly as kids.
Mm.
And then they moved out, and they moved out to, or out near where we were on Puritan someplace, only down on the other side of Schaefer, yeah.
But then, okay, but after you had Doug, now Doug was born in 1929.
Yeah.
Okay, so then was 1929 was the Depression started, the crash,
Well,
30 and
30,
31.
well, that's when about, 30 was when it was bad. We were still working a little bit, yeah. And then it got less and less and less. And then Pop sometimes would go there and work 2 days, mostly moving machinery around. But that's a good time if you want to change,
Sure.
yeah. And if there were any work there, he got it. So then things got bad. And I said, we always had a lot of milk, you know, I like milk for the children. Well, I nursed all of you. And I said, why don't you go up there? There was up there a few blocks near Rademacher, right on, there was an old, used to be an old fire station that they had it for the welfare or something, yeah.
Pop went to the welfare, whatever it was, but he never did tell you.
No, he did told him he had a piano, and he had nice living room furniture, and all your furniture was nice, and he couldn't get anything. And Pop really blew his top, but he wouldn't tell me what he said. But I can imagine myself. He really bawled them out. But then that was it.
Well, how did you live then if you didn't have any
Well,
money?
The poor man that owned the house, a Jewish man, he lost the building. The bank took it over.
Ah.
And all he owned, if we'd $14,000, we could have bought that beautiful building, 12 apartments, solid brick building.
Yeah.
Well, gee, we didn't have 14 cents something. Well, he went to the bank, he says, he asked him if there's some jobs he could maybe do around the apartment to pay the rent, for he didn't have any money. Well, he had a little money in the bank, but not enough to keep it for long with 2 kids. So he said he could put in electric plugs in the wall, and he could do this, and do small plumbing, you know, not great big building plumbing. And he could do it, but he didn't have the tools. And clean furnaces, everybody had a coal furnace. So then they started giving them, they said, well, we'll give you free rent if you do some of that stuff. But if you put the electric things in the wall, it'll be $5 we'll give them, you know, beside the rent. So that's what we done. And then he would go to the bank, they would tell him, well, you go on Forest Avenue.
Other buildings, not
Oh,
just that apartment.
No, because he wouldn't work every day in the apartment, you know. On Forest Avenue, you know, all along Forest. And then one next to it. There were a lot of, you know, you didn't sell booze then. They had nightclubs and
Bootleggers.
stuff. Yeah, bootleggers. Well, they bought the booze from the bootleggers. Well, they had nice, beautiful dining rooms on the look. Those great big houses that people had moved out. There's men waiters and you know, costume.
Tuxedo.
Yeah, tuxes. So he went there, and they're all run by Negroes. The boss, but not the people. It was just a guy running the building. And so Bill went and cleaned the furnace, and the guy come down. He said, "Gee, I wish I knew somebody to build some cabinet someplace." because there's no room for to stash stuff.
Yes.
So Bill said, geez, I can do that. He says, but he had mostly all the tools. He said, you supply the wood. And he told the lumberman to tell what size so they would cut it the
Sure.
size, see? So he did, and he made extra money from the guy doing that. And then, 2 or 3 times, they had this swell dining hall, and they sold them. Like they would have roast beef and ham and chicken, all kind of stuff. And then the guys, Bill said, they're gone on the table right beside them, and the dining room, but then they would go upstairs and they had where they would play cards.
Oh, playing
Yeah.
poker or something.
Yeah, all gambling.
Gambling.
Yeah. They all had the gun right beside. In fact, Bill was in all of them. The guy showed him. He liked Bill. You know, Bill was likable.
Yeah.
And so.
This was a black guy that was running it.
Oh yeah, great big fella. Anybody getting? He had a gun too.
Sure.
And you get sassy, you know, out the door they go. If they didn't, they'd be found dead someplace. And the gang gave him a lot of jobs. He paid them extra for it. And several times he would he'd have a big package out of it. He said, you take that home. You can eat it for your lunch. One time it was a great big piece of roast beef.
Mm.
Another time, and something else went with it. Cheese or some, you know, rat supper and this big thing. Then one time it was a big piece of ham. It wasn't stuffed scrap left over from the table or anything, no. And he done that several times.
Well, that'd help out.
Oh, sure. For Pop said, gee, if that was scrap, and then I'd take it back and throw it in his face. No. I won a whole big bag of hard rolls one time with that, yeah.
Maybe like they have a banquet and the big piece left over and,
No, there were a lot of people. You could go in there dining.
oh, you could.
Yeah, people from outside. They're the restaurant, like. But everything, white tablecloths,
Yeah.
you know, linen napkins, guy with a tux waiting on you.
So then, well, I guess what, about 1933 or so, things
Yeah,
start
they
picking
start-
up?
Picking up a little, but most of the people didn't get to work till about 39.
Oh, is
It
that
was
right?
still, yeah.
Just Pop was such a good mechanic,
Yeah,
he
well,
got
sure,
to work.
they called him and a few other people,
Sure.
you know. Sometimes it only, and they changed the model to,
Yeah.
and he got work on a lot of it. Most of it 39 really before they went back to work.
Because, well, you had a 1932 car,
Yeah.
Chevrolet, and then you got a 35, so you must have been earning some money, unless you had a 1935 Chevrolet
Yeah.
in South Street.
Oh, yeah, Bill was started working
Yeah.
then, yeah, sure. And then people come in and the bank just run that way was natural, whether we'd pay rent, you know,
Sure.
then, yeah.
But now, when I was growing up, I don't remember very much from when the time,
Yeah.
hardly, but I know I went to Cary School,
Yeah,
went to Cary School, and it was down on South Street, wasn't it?
yeah,
And I remember the first day I went to school, kindergarten, you took me to school.
yeah.
Yeah. And I wet my pants. I remember that because I didn't know that there would be a bathroom there.
No.
Because we had
You
never,
could hold it so
I
long.
had never gone to a toilet that wasn't, was out in public.
Well, we had a bathroom in the house.
No, but not in public though.
you're not, no.
I'd never gone to a toilet in a store or in a gas
No,
station or,
Oh,
so I didn't know,
no, where to go?
no, and the teacher didn't say, and I remember that, I was sitting and I couldn't hold it and I finally wet. I was sitting in this little chair and make a big puddle and everybody was,
What did she say?
well, she took me in the bathroom, but what's she gonna do?
She didn't tell you where it was?
No, I mean, already gone to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know to ask.
But the next time,
Oh, well, she
Yeah,
took me to the
yeah,
bathroom
yeah.
then,
yeah.
and dried me off.
Yeah,
But that was funny. Didn't know enough to ask, And I think of Jason now, when he's 4, he's telling you how to get in the jet airplane and adjust the things
Yeah,
and
yeah,
watch the
yeah.
seatbelt go and,
Yeah.
how things have changed.
yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. Half the kids were scared of the teacher.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't scared. I
But
just,
you were good at the class. One time, mind there was Mrs. Molesky, she was a Polish woman or something, you were in a, and then you went into a higher class. I think she was the 3rd grade. And none of the kids liked her, but you liked her and you got good marks. And then you went in the other grade and she sent you a note home with you that said you weren't paying attention to
Yeah.
something.
yeah.
And I know you would never do anything like that. You know you were. So I had asked you. You said, well, we do stuff, and then she just changes something. She never comes to look to see what you do. So when she thought, I says, well, did you check his work after you got his assignment? She didn't say anything. I said, I asked Bill. I says, and he said that you never look at the work he does, and he had finished it. And he was just daydreaming, I guess, waiting for something else. And she never said any more. I didn't. I says, when he was with Miss Molesky, I says, she just liked Bill, and Bill liked her. And none of the kids liked it, even the women didn't like it. And she says, he did? I says, yes.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember who it was.
No.
I remember from then on, she would check all my work
Yeah, well,
every day.
Well, I says, Chuck, you
check
have to,
anybody
when he
else.
does something, you've got to check the work, see if they're doing it properly. I wasn't mean or anything, I just talked to her.
Yeah,
Well, that's what they're paid for.
yeah,
How can they know if a kid can write or what? If she never looks at it. Yeah.
And I remember there was a...
So she says, I bet she says, I'll show her.
Yeah, she did. She looked at my work every day,
Well,
you know.
you'd have it done right, I know that.
Well, whether or not.
Because you were good at school.
She
From
did.
Miss Molesky, I like Miss Molesky. And she said you were one of her best scholars.
And the other thing I remember there was a little, don't bang too much, because it,
Oh,
yeah, was that there was this kid that, he was a tough guy. You know, we were only about 8, so
Yeah.
it couldn't have been so tough, but you know, he was really always in trouble, always in trouble, always
Oh,
going
yeah.
to the principal. I don't know what the principal's name, Mr. West, maybe.
oh, yeah, no,
No, I don't know what the principal was. But anyway,
yeah.
he'd go to the
There was a
principal.
Mr. West. Yeah.
And finally, he got expelled.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was, sassing back, you know, he was just tough.
Yeah.
Teacher would tell him he wouldn't do it. So anyway, his mother had to come to class.
Yeah.
And he was in class, and the principal was there, and he gave him a spanking in front of the class with his
principal?
mother,
Oh,
right there in front of the class.
yeah.
And
Oh,
the kid didn't, I think he had a stick too, right on his
oh, shit.
backside.
Yeah.
Kid didn't say a word, you know, didn't let out a whimper, you know. And
No.
the guy was hitting him and told him to sit down and told him that, you know,
Yeah.
he's going to get more. His mother told him, and his mother just bawled the kid out, you know,
Oh,
for
sure.
being sassy and nasty. But you think nowadays, goodness gracious, the
Oh.
lawyers would be suing the principal.
I wouldn't be a teacher nowadays. Oh, I feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Poor woman, poor men or women, the kids nowadays. And it's hard for the other kids that's trying to learn. So you get some
Oh,
ratty
yeah.
kid like that, yeah, running around
And
this.
you were saying when we'd go down to get an ice cream cone, remember you were saying about getting the ice cream cone?
Yeah, yeah.
How you would take us down and you only had a nickel?
2 for a nickel. You used to get 2
Two
for a
ice
nickel,
creams.
yeah. What was the name of that place?
I don't know.
Daisy's or something? Right a corner. Yeah.
Go down.
You would give me a lick, and Dad would give, you would give, each of us was supposed to give him Daddy, so you give it to Mama. So I had 2 licks popped in one.
A nickel for 2 cones, and that's all you could afford.
Oh, boy. I used to sew a dress, put French seams on it, you know, sew it one way and turn them around. Work about a day and a half on it, and then those people that used to live in Delray, you know, they're Polish.
I know what Del Rey
They worked
was.
beside Pop, you
Yeah.
know. Well, it was her sisters. They come, and then they'll come, they'll try it on and take it home, maybe something was high or low, too high, too short or too long. Come back. Well, I made one time, I had straps for the buttons. Didn't know how to move a button, you know. Well, I had to stop it. $1.50. I'm glad to get the dollar.
For the whole dress. Did you have a sewing machine?
Oh, yeah, treadle.
Yeah.
And one of the best. I wish I had it now.
Yeah, those.
You can sew anything on it.
Sure.
Yeah, a singer.
And good control too.
Yeah.
You know, these brrr, you either
Yeah,
jump away
oh,
from him.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're glad to get the
$1.50.
$1.50.
And he doesn't go very far. Then there was that hall across the street. That was a
Oh, yeah, it was like a,
club or something.
oh, it had several names. I can't think of it. There were, at first time it was some kind Armenian hall at one time, and then it was Italian run it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they bought or just leased the building, and they used to play that bocce ball, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had
And that
that.
was mostly Italians there, and Polish.
Well, they had a wedding. I remember the weddings they used to have
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Well, the weekends they had weddings and stuff. Yeah.
Boy, and the women would come and cook for a week.
Oh yeah.
And they'd cook and
We
cook.
used to go a lot Hungarian weddings, Polish weddings. They all done the cooking. Yeah. Cook right in the hall, and they had a big refrigerator.
And then they'd always have the polka going
Oh yeah.
with would they have an accordion
Yeah,
and a
accordion.
clarinet and a drum?
Sure. Yeah.
They didn't
Well,
need maybe well, he plays saxophone and clarinet.
Make good music.
Yeah. And people
It
would
was
dance.
mostly accordion, a fiddle sometime, drums. Yeah.
Then they would dance with the bride and put the money in the
Yeah.
basket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We no money put in the basket.
No.
Throw a quarter in or something. Oh, we knew the people we could scrape up. That's when things were getting a little better.
Yeah.
We'd buy a little gift, you know.
And then, well, then you eventually saved enough money that you could buy a house.
Well,
In what, about 1937
Bill's
or 8?
one of these Uncle Murdoch or
Murdoch
they
and
died.
Alexander
you know,
died.
Yeah, and one died and then the other died, and they got some money from that,
Ah,
about $1,000. That's when we went to the Niagara Falls. Remember we
Yeah.
drove and spent summer there. Went to see the quintuplets up in.
oh yeah, we did.
Remember
We went
that?
up to
Yeah,
Callender,
yeah.
Ontario, and saw the
Yeah,
quintuplets, and they
yeah.
were only about 3 or 2. They were little.
No, you were.
I'm not me, but I mean the quintuplets.
Oh yeah,
They
there
were-
were, but one even two, I don't think.
And you couldn't look through the window. You could look through the window. They couldn't.
Yeah, because they didn't know anybody was looking.
Yeah, they couldn't see out,
Yeah,
so
they were
it wouldn't disturb them. Yeah. I remember the
And
going
we
to
went to
Niagara Falls.
to
and
Niagara
Cleveland,
Falls. Why not? Yeah.
yeah. And then you bought a house in Whitaker.
Oh yeah, but well, he got that was some of the money put down a down payment. He used some of that money, and he didn't have enough. And I think Mel loaned him $200.
Now, how much was the house?
$1,000 down. Oh, about 4,500. Two
Yeah.
family brick flat. That was a solid brick
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
Face brick too. I mean.
Yeah, face brick.
Yeah.
Oh, the basement part was solid. You know, 2 rows with the bricks one way and every 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a nice place.
Yeah.
But
when did you move there? 38, 7?
something like that. Yeah.
19, and
To
that was
Whitaker,
7036 Whitaker.
you were.
And I was going to a intermediate. No, I was still going in.
You were going to Cass,
No, not then.
huh?
I wasn't going to Cass then.
No, not,
I was going to, wasn't even intermediate school. I was
Yeah.
still like the
but we
fifth
still were
grade.
there when you were going to Cass.
Oh, I know.
For you didn't go to Cass when we were on Mansfield.
No, I'm saying the fifth grade.
Yeah.
I never lived in Mansfield.
No, I know you didn't.
Fifth grade, I must have been like in the fifth grade.
Yeah.
And I went to a school,
And that was right near on
but not
Brunner
the,
Highway, the school.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then I went to an intermediate school,
yeah.
which was, I can't think of the name of it.
Well, you went to high school on Fort Street, didn't you?
Fort?
On Fort. Where we used to
We were
live.
living in Whitaker.
No, no.
I never went to Fort Street. No.
I know where you, well, high
It
school.
was an intermediate school.
Well, you were living in Whitaker when you went to Cass.
I know, but I was living in Whitaker
Yeah.
in the fifth grade, sixth
Oh,
grade,
yeah,
seventh
I
grade,
know,
eighth
yeah,
grade,
yeah.
ninth grade, you know, from 37 to 45.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's 8 grades, so I was
Yeah,
only
yeah.
in the 4th or 5th
Oh,
grade.
yeah, when you moved, yeah.
So I went to an intermediate, I went to a primary or grade school to an intermediate school.
Well, what grade when we were in, on South Street, what grade would you when you left there?
Probably 4th grade.
I think it was the 5th, because you still went to school there after that was the grade, the 4th was when the woman said you weren't doing, maybe 5th or 6th grade you went.
No, because the intermediate school would be the 6th, 7th, and
yeah.
8th.
Well, you went to 5th in
Fifth.
Carey School, because I know
No, I
it was,
was in the 5th when we moved to Whitaker. Because I went to a school before the intermediate school.
well,
And it was
you should
on
know
the
better.
north side,
Yeah.
and,
Well, we hadn't put in the house, there wouldn't have been a penny left.
yeah.
And then my mother died then, and she left some money, but things were low, you know, the money value was low. We got some money, but I forget, it was $1,500 or something.
Of course, that was a lot of
And
money
I put
then.
that in the bank, and that's why we had some money to buy the place on Mansfield.
Yeah. And then and then
Yeah.
I don't remember too much about the grade school.
No.
But I remember in the intermediate school, I can't think of the name. I've got a picture of graduation somewhere, but that's where I learned mechanical drawing.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
I remember that.
And then Pop would come with the ideas, and then I would help him, or I would
Oh,
draw
sure.
the ideas and
Oh,
some of
sure.
them, and then he would turn them in. And
Remember when you got the job at the General Motors for one
oh
summer?
yeah, that was a long time.
That
That
was
was
in
after
high school.
No, that was after I graduated from high school. I graduated from high school, and then I got the job.
Oh, well, the next summer, the summer
Yeah.
after you
I only,
graduated.
yeah, okay. No, it was just for a few months.
But you weren't doing it, well, I know, it was just when the schools were closed, you worked there. Oh, you'd put your...
I was going in the Navy.
You'd put your thing for the Navy, and you thought they would call you right away, and they waited about 3 months. But you were doing good there.
Yeah, I was doing
For
good.
some guy who worked there, were telling
Yeah.
new Pop, you know, and he was telling boys that they wish you'd gone on college, they would have paid your way.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
enjoyed that very much.
Yeah,
But then I went, and I remember in the intermediate school, we made woodworking and electrical, you know, how to
oh,
wire,
you were good
solder,
at that, yeah.
and then metalworking. And I remember making a steam engine
Yeah,
when we ran on air,
oh, yeah.
and they kept it because
Yeah,
they wanted
oh,
it.
sure.
It was a good one.
Well, then one guy say, when you're through, to come back next summer if you went to college, didn't one guy
No.
tell you?
That
I
was
think he did.
This was in school, in
No,
intermediate
but I
school.
mean, when you worked in General Motor.
Oh yeah, well you keep changing the subject on me. I'm back in.
Well.
I'm still in intermediate school.
Oh.
Okay.
Still in kindergarten, eh?
No,
No.
you know, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and then I had a paper route, and sold the Times, Detroit Times, and that was the first time I ever bought a Pepsi Cola and a potato chip
At the same
at the same time. It was 10 cents, nickel for the
Oh, yeah.
Pepsi Cola and a
You
nickel
were good kids.
for the potato
Yeah.
chip. And we used to get, papers were 3 cents.
Yeah.
And we'd make 1 penny for delivering the paper, and then Sunday paper was 10 cents. And I think we made 2.5 cents for the Sunday paper, or 3 cents, I forget. And you would, and the paper, some people would try to beat you out of the, was
Oh.
28 cents or whatever it was, 28 cents a week.
They do it all the time
Yeah.
here.
And,
Well, there used to be a policeman live on Whitaker, and Doug went to the door to collect him. A little kid, about 3-year-old, comes out the door with a gun, and his father's gun in his hand. And Doug was scared. He kind of moved away a little bit, you know, so in case he went off. But, and if the guy comes with these little kids, he lays his gun on the gun on the dining room table, and little kids walking around. I was going to report him,
yeah.
and I thought, oh, Doug's selling the paper.
Yeah, and one time the newspaper manager guy, he had a Ford, 37 Ford convertible. He was a nice guy. And all the paper boys, he was going to leave, so he had his car parked out in the front, and he had it locked, and we jumped his car, just kids jumping
Yeah,
up
yeah.
and down and wiggle it out in the street, wiggle it down the street, and wiggle it in a slot where he couldn't get it out. I remember doing that, and then he coming out, and God, he gave us holy heck, you know.
Yeah.
He was probably only 23 or
Yeah.
22, you know. And so then we had to wiggle it out of this slot, this
Yeah.
little spot where he couldn't get it out. And
It was like a grading, was it?
No, it was 2 cars were parked really close, and we just put the car right in straight. You know, we jumped it off the tires
Oh, I see.
and wiggled it straight in.
Yeah.
You couldn't turn the wheels to get out because
No.
there was no room. And then I had one kid quit and went to he had the news, and I had the Times on the same route. You weren't allowed to deliver both papers.
No.
Anyway, he went on vacation, and I delivered his papers and my papers. And then he wanted to quit, so I had both routes, both newspapers on the same route.
Yeah, yeah,
But then they found out about it, and then
yeah.
I had to sell one of them.
Oh, well, there's something.
And
But that guy, I don't know if that Pop went to talk to that man with the gun or not. He was a policeman. He would have lost his job of it. I think I was talking to your dad about it. Boy, he could have killed Doug. Doug was scared.
yeah. Well,
I see, if you ever go there again, make sure, and then that kid just get out there and I'll go down and visit them.
and
A policeman be that stupid.
well, anyway, we remember the kid in Whitaker that used to jump from the roof to the roof.
Oh, Doug?
No.
No,
You got your hearing turned.
Yeah, no, well, you
But
see.
there was a kid in Whitaker Street, kind of a tough kid, and he would get up on the roof of the houses and jump from one house to another and climb over and jump from one to the
Well,
other.
that was, there were another house to the alley.
Well, they were all,
No,
houses
yeah,
were all
no.
close.
But we were the second house from the
Yeah.
alley went along. And then there was another house, was the corner of Whitaker and Eversey, and that was where that screwball kid lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But boy, he
He
was,
was always doing, one time we come home and Doug and him were wrestling on the alley. Wrestling, rolling around, he was fighting with the guy. No, what for? We broke it up. I never did find out what they were fighting about. The one we actually punched were just rolling around the dirt, but they were angry at one another. But he was one of those, a bad kid, not bad.
a
just-
daredevil.
Yes.
Remember the house next door had the big cherry tree?
Oh, yeah.
And we'd all go in the cherry tree and steal cherries, and the guy'd get after us. You know, there were those sour cherries.
Yeah.
Guy'd get after us.
Yeah, I enjoyed
And
living
then,
on Whitaker because it was right near all the shops and the theater
and we'd go down to, when we went shopping, remember
Yeah.
we get all the groceries?
yeah.
Like, when we went I don't know, Kroger's or A&P or
No,
whatever it
there
was.
was a fair something, they have, I forget the name of that. Food fair.
Oh,
I think it-
I don't know.
yeah.
I thought it was Kroger's or
It was a new,
A&P or
no?
something. And you'd get one bag, and I'd get a bag, and Doug get a bag, and Papa get two bags, and the whole thing was like $3.50 or something.
Yeah, all right. Now you take $10, you can carry it
Oh,
on your finger.
well, I see ladies in the store now and get groceries, you know, a big
Oh.
bag, I mean, a whole lot, be $200.
Oh, they have the cart, sometimes two cart, full of the bottom, heaped up and maybe something else in that. Yeah, they're way over $100, yeah.
200.
I told one young girl, she had two little kids, I said, boy, you're paying the national debt. And she says, yeah, she says, every week it's like that. Then in between she has to come and get small amounts, you know. I said, I believe you. It was, bottom was heaped up, top was heaped up. She had all the big heavy stuff at the bottom, all kind of stuff.
Well, now during the war, you went back to work. You worked for,
Yeah, I went to work.
you worked for
Yeah.
Packard or something, no?
No,
Cadillac?
it's Cadillac, yeah.
Now, that's when we were living on Whitaker.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you
and
went,
I worked there during the war and then just laid off then. And then they called me back to Turnford. I'd worked a little bit in Turnford. They laid me off and then they called. I said, I don't like working in a factory. I'm gonna go, I went to business school then. I didn't like that kind of work, but then you need a little money and you do a lot of things you don't. Though I had a good job and I was running a machine with, you know, these pistons.
yeah.
And I was honing them, the last thing.
Where at Packard? I mean Cadillac?
Yeah,
That would be maybe for the airplanes.
for the airplanes, yeah. They had a big thing for the airplanes, yeah.
You know, and the,
And then when the war was coming off, then they did as much as they wanted, so went down on the second floor, and what the heck was I doing? Some other kind of job, but didn't last long for they closed it up.
and then of course,
Yeah,
by then I had joined the Navy, and I had first tried to join the Air Force.
Yeah.
When I was a young kid,
yeah.
and
Good.
in fact I joined the Air Force. I took their test, and they sent me a telegram that I could go in. I was only about just turned 16, I guess. Then the war was winding down, and you couldn't get in the Air Force, and I didn't want to go in the Navy. And then Margaret Paggich saw the thing in the newspaper, and so she called me up.
She got the news. We used to get the Times. It wasn't even in the Times.
Well, I don't know.
They always got the news, yeah.
But anyway, she called and said that they opened, so I went down and
sure.
ended up joining the Navy,
Sure.
and
Navy's the best anyway.
graduated from high school, and
Yeah.
had to wait, and went back.
You were
I
only
went to work.
17 when you graduated from high school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you was
I was in the
smart
Navy
cookie.
at 17.
You're a smart cookie.
So I went to Turnsted's and worked in the plant layout.
Well, wasn't it,
Where?
didn't it send you to General Motors building?
Yeah, well, I was like a messenger. I
Oh,
tried to
what's
get a
that?
job, and there were no jobs.
Oh, no,
And
yeah.
I said, well, I'll take any job. And they said, well, you've already graduated from Cass High School. You know, we don't have any job. You're too qualified. And I said, well, I'll take any job
Yeah.
in the engineering.
Oh, yeah.
And so they said, well, we have a job for a messenger.
Well, it's okay.
So I said, okay. And
Sure.
they were good to me. They were very good to me. And
Oh, yeah.
in fact, I was actually drawing,
Like-
plant layout
yeah,
stuff before I
yeah,
did.
I
They let
know.
me draw
You'd have
hoppers.
done good there.
Yeah.
You'd have been
And
had
then,
a real good job, I know. Well, Ford's like that too, but there's so many kids go, and they want a job, but they don't have the brains to run. Maybe they have the brains, but they don't use their brains.
yeah,
Everybody has brains, but half the people don't use them.
yeah.
They're too busy doing worthless stuff.
Yeah. Well, now, I can tell them all about what I did in the Navy on this thing, but
Yeah.
there was a time uh, you moved to Mansfield after I joined the Navy,
Yeah.
and Doug and you and Pop moved there, and Doug finished his high school
Oh,
at
yeah.
Mansfield, and he had a big band. I remember
Yeah.
when I came home from the Navy
Oh,
on
yeah,
leave,
no, we had moved already.
but he had a big band.
Oh, yeah, that 14 he could have sometime.
Yeah, and then he was had.
Most of the time he had 7, but he could, and they were all college boys, pretty near every one of them. He was the only one that was going to high school
Oh, was he?
when he had that band.
Well, but they played good music.
Oh, just like
Very
listening to
good.
the big bands, yeah. And when he was at grade school, you know, at, what do you call it, intermediate something, he always could play the trumpet good, you know. So one time the veterans, there was somebody, maybe he was a school teacher, a school principal or somebody had died, and he was a veteran, and so they asked Doug. For Doug used to take off when the orchestra, the guy in the school, the music teacher, wasn't in, Doug would take over.
Oh.
Because he could play several leads, maybe not as good, but he understood the music. So they asked him to play taps. It was the Saturday he was buried. So he's okay. So he dressed up nice and took his trumpet. So he come back and I said, how'd it go? Oh, it went fine. And he says, you know, he said, they give me $5. He says, you know, they give me that. And I said, he told her, oh, he said, I couldn't take that. My mom wouldn't like that, go take money for a funeral. The guy says, that goes in as a separate account. Everybody gets it, the playing the trumpet. Everybody gets it. And you take it, it belongs to you. We're not putting it in our pocket. They have a fund for that. So he took it. Every time they had a funeral, they would call for Doug. He was busy putting it every Saturday, playing at funerals. So he made money there. I didn't take his money.
Yeah.
I didn't take your money either.
Yeah.
But he was good, and he got this bunch together. Well, the people lived down the street. The woman worked with Bill in the factories. So I don't know what she done. Well, they had a boy, but he was older. He wasn't going to any school. I know what I don't think he was going anywhere. But when he played the piano pretty well, it was the first guy he had, and he had about 7 kids. They were going out basement, practice every Thursday night, I think, practice. Didn't bother me. With the windows closed in the winter time, but you couldn't hear it much outside. But he had a few dances, and he knows the guy on the piano, he's starting to get a glass of beer in the corner of his piano. You know, the last year, but he was older than him. So he told him he didn't like that. He says, they're just kids. Well, most of the kids,
You had to be 21 too. Right?
yeah, but most of the kids were college kids, but they didn't want to be doing that. He said, you start that and they're all in. I said, no way. So I think he kind of told him, but he told him easy, but he never called him again. Yeah. He never called him to play again. He just dropped him off the list. But boy, kids, after he got married to Barb, you know, they would call up, not Barbara, yeah, Barbara. They would call up, want to talk to him, they want to play in his band. So I give him Doug's number. He was a salesman then.
Yeah.
But he had a good band.
He did.
Because he played the high school bands all the time when they were out. And then they had the adults watching them, you know, so Pop and I went one time. He used to change the mothers of some of the kids. He used to change them. But they played well, very well.
Well, he said he
And then
used.
they would sing a little bit in between, you know,
Yeah.
how the big bands do. He should have stuck at that.
Well,
Of course, that's a hard life.
he said he paid the kids $5 an hour when they had a job,
Yeah.
and he paid himself $25 an hour.
Well, he was
But he-
arranging
yeah,
music and
He
everything.
had to buy the music and the
Yeah, sure.
stands and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Well, okay.
So he done well. And you were always working at vacation time in the garage.
Oh yeah,
remember?
yeah. With
sure.
what was his name? Joe Rhodes.
Yeah.
And what was the kid's name? Jim.
Jim
Rhodes,
Rhodes,
right? Yeah, we. And what was the old man's name in the
I
where
think
I
his
started?
name was Jim.
No, the
No.
old guy on next to that. Remember the guy that used to do the spitting and you said,
Well, didn't he used to work on something else? He
There
had
wa-
some kind of a workshop there.
well, they had two. It was Joe and there was a guy alongside Joe. Joe eventually bought it all. But
He
there was
had
an old,
automobile
old
stuff.
man. Yeah, they both had automobile stuff.
And they both worked in the same, it was all one company? No.
Two companies.
Yeah.
What was the other? Remember, there was an old guy. He was a painter, but he owned the shop, not Joe's shop.
No.
And I went to work for him first.
And what did you have to do there?
It was just, sanding and sweeping, and
Yeah, I
Just-
don't know what the heck that guy
he was
did.
a thin, skinny guy.
Yeah, I remember.
He used to spit, and you'd say,
Yeah.
"Oh, he had TB or something."
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that thing.
Yeah, got to be where I could paint pretty good. Helped out. Learned a lot there. Of course, if you did that
I don't-
permanently, you'd have
Yeah, I can tell, but I forget. What.
TB. We never used to wear a mask or anything. Maybe
No,
tie a hanky
no.
around your face
Yeah.
and spray lacquer, spray a whole car or enamel, and your nose would be all full of paint,
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, the sun's shining in
Yeah,
this
but
window
that-
here. We're going to
Pull
shut the
those
thing
shades
off.
down. There you
Yeah.
start. Yeah, there is sparking.
Okay. So anyway, you lost your first two sons,
Yeah.
and in fact, I grew up and didn't know that you'd ever been married
No, well,
or had children, and went in the Navy and left home and got married and had two children and retired from the Navy in 1967 and went to work in engineering, and then Dad died in 1970. When did Dad die?
74.
He died in 74. And then after that, things happened that's hard to explain, and I'd like Mom to tell you about it, and how she found her first two children.
Well, after we got married, and one of the Martins, the cousins, like Andy, he had that little store on Vernon Highway,
Right.
when we lived on Whitaker. They never mentioned, they would never say where they were. One time we were at what was it? When Alan Ruby Shinsky, the daughter, got married, they were at the wedding. This Andy and his wife and our sister. And we kind of mentioned them. Oh, the last they heard, they said they were in Erie. They didn't say Fort Erie, Canada. They just said, well, there's Erie, Pennsylvania.
Sure.
I never thought of Fort Erie. So Pop says, write to the newspaper.
Now, he was saying that Jim was in Fort Erie,
Well,
or in Erie, the whole family.
well, they just said the whole family was in Erie, and the way they spoke, the whole family was in Erie.
Oh.
Well, we wrote to, Pop says, write to the newspaper, and have them publish it. And he said, write and say if it costs something, you'll send them the money. Well, I wrote to them, and they never said anything, never asked for any money or anything. And we were keeping looking see if we get some mail. And then I think maybe Buffalo and Erie is pretty close together. I said, next time I'll write to Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
So I wrote to Buffalo, nothing happened.
Now, when was
We
this?
even bought
1940s?
well,
Were
we're
you
on Mansfield.
oh, you were on Mansfield.
We're on Mansfield.
Oh, okay. You weren't down in Whitaker.
Yeah, no, we went on the Whitaker. Because they used to come and visit, we used to go and visit them. And we moved to Mansfield, and we told them. And then she worked in the factory too, his wife, Andy's wife. worked in Turnstead, and her sister. Sister wasn't married. And but I remember when they were at Ruby's daughter's wedding, and her married sister was there and her husband, and she was there, and our other sister was there, and we're talking about something, and she said, well, they were in Erie, and that's all she said.
Wow.
So that's when Pop said, we'll write to the newspaper then.
Sure.
So which we did, no answer, we'll write. I said, well, Buffalo's closed, maybe they moved if they play a band, you know. And she mentioned something about them playing a band in Buffalo. So I wrote to the Buffalo newspaper, never thinking of Fort Erie, Kent. She didn't say Fort Erie, she said Erie. And then someone had said to Pop, you know, that they were playing something in Buffalo, I don't know what. But anyway, never had any word. So I thought to my, Pop died then. And he said, you know, before he said, gee, you think somebody would see or put, I give him a box down on the beach. I didn't want to give him my address or anything.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Not a word.
But this goes now from 1950 to about
Oh.
1970.
Well, we didn't go it every year, but we just keep,
Yeah.
once in a while, you know, see if we get any answers or
55, yeah.
something. And so
Well, you'd be about give up by then.
I'd given up by then.
Yeah.
And then we closed the bank. Well, then I thought, I'll write to Dundee, that's where the family wrote. No, I saw a thing in the paper about some son, Ed, you know, Margaret's husband. He'd married when he was in Buffalo. And he'd married somebody and his wife had died and he had a little baby. And it was in the Dundee paper. Was it Anne and Fred had been over in Scotland, you know, and Carol paid for she was just a young little girl, paid for the People's Journal for a year for me for my birthday or something. Or maybe Anne paid, but she put Carol's name on it. And I seen in the paper, the People's Journal, they have the People's page or some People bulletin, and it was in there about this guy that come all the way from America or someplace. I don't know where no, he was a soldier stationed in Germany, and his father had come from Dundee, so he'd been writing to all the people with the same name, Martin. He got the Dundee paper, and there was the woman he wrote to was a Martin, but it wasn't the one that any relation at all, but she know where they lived.
Right, yeah.
So she contacted, you know, if they live there long, they know one
Sure.
another, I guess. And she'd contacted him. So he went there and he had a caravan, you know, that's what they call it, a trailer.
Right.
And he had about 4 or 5 sons. He's from America, originally from America. I know they made a big deal out of him, you know. And he didn't meet his father because his father was dead or here. The father was here. He didn't know who his father was. But he was his son, and this was his little baby. That somebody come and adopted the baby, apparently. And they moved to Texas with him. Because a man with a little baby, what's he, never, and nobody around, he's not going to do. So I thought, by gosh, I'll write to the People's Journal. This was after Papa died. And I wrote, and I sent him money that I says, here, this, I said, I'm sending $5 on to put a piece in the paper or wherever he put it. So he wrote back, he had sent me the thing, what he'd written on the paper, that so-and-so, that I was looking for a son, you know, so-and-so born in Medicine Hat, and one born in Detroit. No date or anything, so people wouldn't see it. So I sent that in April, and the guy had sent me the copy of what they'd put in the paper, and also I sent him $10. Also, I got a letter from the Cancer Society in Dundee thanking me for the $10. The newspaper man had given the $10.
Oh.
So it was nice, you know.
Yeah.
And so I waited and waited. I was,
But what did do you have that article? Did you save it?
I don't know if I did or not.
Oh.
But anyway.
That'd be a nice one to save for history.
Yeah, maybe I did. I don't know if I did. A lot of stuff like that I save, and then that gets lost or is stuck away. If I ever find it, I'll give it to you. But anytime I was up in the town to go to the bank or something, I would always look in the little cubby hole, nothing.
Yeah, in other words, you got a post office box.
Yeah, well, post office box,
Right.
sure, yeah. And then I come look at, gee, it's a letter. I couldn't believe my eyes. Look, the wrong thing. Opened it. Here it was from Toronto, Canada, from Jim. Well, I think I wrote a letter to Jim.
Well, this was what, about 1976 or something? A couple,
Yeah,
year or
about
so,
that, yeah,
2 years
about
before.
that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe right. But anyway, I wrote to him, and I noticed on my picture, I just forget, I just wrote to him anyway, told him where I lived, in my address, because what he wrote, it was him. I could tell what they said. And so then he says, could I come over and visit him, which I did. He met me at the airport. And he went through I don't know what. He didn't even read it in the paper. Some woman lived in Fort Erie and knew the family, knew him, and now he's living in Toronto. And his son, Marion, Jim's wife, her dad was a jeweler.
Right.
Well, their son, Douglas, his name is Douglas, runs the jeweler store now, and his wife. Well, she come, and his father, her mother had died with that same disease, and his father remarried some woman from Fort Erie, and he was retired, so they got the house that the wife was born in, the man's daughter. And Doug and his wife live in the house and have the jeweler. Well, this woman come to the jeweler shop, and Doug was there, and she says, here, you take this paper to your dad and tell him to read it thoroughly. She figured it pertained to them, the ad.
This was a lady in Fort Erie.
Yeah.
Having a paper that was printed in Dundee.
Well, she gets it delivered. They used to have it sent, but they stopped it.
Or maybe somebody do it all that mailing around like the people from Old Country used to do.
No, but Carl got me that year, and I think I sent money again for another year, and then I stopped it. I just still like to read about it. Yeah. So they're another fluke of nature, So the son didn't know what it was all about.
So he took it to his dad.
They go back and forth. No, they're always going back and forth to Toronto from Lake Erie.
Oh, yeah.
So they were up there one weekend, or some holidays, and so they brought the paper. Maybe went through the week, I don't know anyway. Probably Sunday when traffic's slower. So he read it. Otherwise, it wasn't for that woman. He wouldn't have had it either.
He would never have gotten it.
And that fluked, isn't it? It's funny.
The last time you had seen Jim and Ed was like 1925.
Yeah.
And you didn't find them again until 76.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, terrible. It's a shame.
Yeah.
And it was none of my fault.
Yeah, I know. But then Jim had, he's got, what, 3 boys?
Yeah.
And the first boy, just to show you how screwed up things get, the
First guy was William.
William, and he's born on my birthday.
Yeah.
And then the second boy
Douglas.
is Douglas. That's the same as my brother is.
And that Quill.
Yeah. And so.
And Ed.
Yeah, and then he has an Ed.
Oh no, Ed's his brother. Yeah. But then, that's what Jim said. He says, "I'm working in accounting. You done that for Ford Motors kind of work, you know, accounting." And Ed was in real estate, and Doug's in.
Okay, and Jim was a pilot. He was a pilot in
like
World War
yeah.
II, and he was a bomber pilot.
Yeah.
And drove all twin engine and 4-engine aircraft. The Lancaster
Yeah.
aircraft was a 4-engine single piloted airplane, and he was on a night hop one night, and the airplane was he lost 2 engines on one side of a 4-engine airplane, so he was having trouble keeping it in the air, and he wasn't keeping it in the air. It was coming down, so he told the crew to bail out, and he had to hold the control full over to keep the dead wing up. And the plane was coming down, and he got ready to go, so he turned loose the airplane, and it immediately started to roll over. He had to run back and jump through the bomb bay. Well, when he got out of his seat and started back, the tail gunner had come up. He wasn't, for some reason, wasn't plugged into communications, and he said, "What's going on?" So Jim said, "Bail out, we're crashing." So the airplane then was about 90 degrees, this big 4-engine bomber. So Jim ran back to the cockpit and didn't even get in the seat, and he was pulled the control over so that the airplane would right itself.
Yeah.
And the tail gunner jumped out, and just a few seconds later the plane crashed and
went on fire.
Broke apart and threw Jim out. If he'd been strapped in, he'd have never lived. But the airplane broke apart, he was loose in the airplane, went out of the airplane went on fire, but he was close enough to get burnt very bad.
Yeah.
And he lost, I guess, most of his ear and a lot of his face. And he was one of the original patients for the burn clinic in London, and they know him as the guinea pigs. And there were a whole lot of the pilots that were burnt severely that had reconstructive surgery that have been monitored by the British government to see how they did throughout their lives. And he's still in part of that program being monitored. But anyway, he was a bomber driver and I was a Navy pilot. And so we had fairly, the 2 sons, not knowing each other, had fairly parallel lives and capabilities, I guess you'd say. Well, I guess we'll wish you, if you get a chance to see this, why, if it's 100 years from now, it'll be fine. You'll have some idea of what we look like and what we talk like, and some of the things that happened to us in our lifetime, and maybe it'll give you a better understanding of where your ancestors came from. So long.
That's nice.